Hello to everyone and welcome to another Elliott Waves on Cryptos. Today is the 30th. We have a very big day tomorrow, not just because of course it's the end of the year, but also because we have a lot of expirations in the options and derivatives markets, and they are definitely going to affect the markets. 48k BTC is a very critical level. Regardless, and aside from BTC, of course, we're going to have a quick look on other assets as well. Taking the early week vote of my community on YouTube, we have to go with ADA, Cardano, ADA, call it as you wish, as well as the Quora Inner Cycle vote that was recently conducted, and the vote was for ENJ. There have been a lot of choices, obviously, but it's what the community wants, so we cannot not give them this gift, especially around this festive season, right? Now, I must tell you that I have made a mistake last time on BTC count. Based on rules, nothing really much changes on the count itself, but it's just I need to let you know what it is. I'll show you similarities of ADA and ENJ, and we also speak about the most likely scenarios and the least, not the least likely, I would say the second most likely scenarios, because obviously we don't want to be here all day and analyzing markets, do we? So without further ado, guys, do not forget as well that none of this is investment advice, it's purely educational, and I'm pretty sure a lot of you do understand that. I do know that they are very educational, and you have to do your own research before you make any decisions. In case you need more guidance and more insights, you can also contact me. I have a private Telegram group, more than happy to get you in. It is a premium membership, just to remind you. So let's see what we have for those three assets today. I'll try to be short this time, and I mean it every time. I will end up being called a liar for not keeping this, respecting the time frame over here. So let's jump on the charts, guys, and see what is really going on in the markets. Right, so I want to start with BTC. Last week, guys, I've had a WX, and I actually had this WX and Y here for a while, right? And it's still the case. But let me tell you the mistake I did last week. Last week, I said that I was expecting an ending diagonal because that looks like more of a ABC rather than 1, 2, 3, 4. And I was expecting this to actually get in here, right, and correct. Do an interaction, right? I was expecting that, so that we could get finally another leg down and call this an ending diagonal, if you remember, right? Now, since well, this is not an ending diagonal for now. That's why I've got it as an ABC. But anyway, the ABC, guys, is a flat, right? In a flat pattern, we can have a wave C, because a flat pattern is a 3-3-5 structure, right? So this 5 means it's a motive wave. So an ending diagonal can be is a motive wave, and an impulse is also a 5 wave move to the downside. Both are motive waves. Now, if there was a WX and Y as I had, then I should not expect an ending diagonal here. I could expect, for example, a leading diagonal, a correction in B, and a wave C, which means that would be a zigzag, right? But not an actual ending diagonal in wave Y, right? That was a mistake here I wanted to let you know of. Very immature and newbie mistake. Anyway, we are where we are today, and as you see, I've got this as an ABC. That doesn't necessarily mean it is my main count, but I favor it a tiny bit more than the second, and that's because some cyclical relationships that I expect to be met going forward in the next few months. I am more keen to see something like this. Yeah, and then down again, rather than to see something like this and then all the way up. you know, and that is because we need to take into consideration, although I'm not usually the guy that you're going to see talking about the relationship of the traditional markets, interest rates, monetary policy, and all that stuff. But we need to keep that in mind because we see a lot of similarities with the stocks, especially now with in the coronavirus era. So that is the only reason. Now, technically speaking, I was expecting that to go higher, overlap with wave one so that we can have an ending diagonal. It's not there. I didn't and I still don't like the duration of the wave 4 compared to wave 2 because it looks like it's about 6 to 7 to 8 times longer. But it's still within the limits, right? And since we don't have an interaction here, that has to be assumed as of now as a potential move to the downside where we're going to get the fifth wave. Okay, now getting the fifth wave means that this 5-wave move of a 355 structure, which is a flat, by the way, it's going to most likely be a running flat rather than anything else. Well, we've got the irregular wave B up here, so the downside can only be a regular or an expanding flat, right? Which means I am looking, sorry, that should not be here. I'll be particularly looking, if we assume, of course, wave 4 is in, I will be looking at perhaps, well, since 38 is no option, well, the 38 would be a level to look very closely, and then would be the 31.25, okay, the 61 and the 100 Fibonacci extension of all the net distance from waves 0, 3 to 4, okay. Now, running flats, the difference is that they don't correct all the way down to the previous low, right? Now, if we use the Fibo from here to here, or actually, maybe, yeah, no, that is okay. You will see that the 90% comes to around the 31.40 or so, which is a cluster. So you can see that this is a good level. Then the 78 and 78 come here as well around the 34.5 or so. It's again another level to pay attention to. And then we get to this, which becomes more of a zone, right? The 62 is at 39.50, which is exactly that low over here in wave B, and between the 50 and the 61.8. Now, since these levels and that level, that cluster actually, with the previous low in mind, is below this swing low, it can be where wave 5 ends. But generally speaking, we would prefer to see the fifth wave of a running flat or the running flat wave C itself ending closer to the 79% rather than anything else. Okay, it can go of course to 90, 95, it can also finish at the 62 or so, but usually it extends a bit more than it goes to around 80%. Okay. Now, with that said, you know what the expectation is for this particular case. Now, only when we do this wave and we start moving higher and we find resistance at the potential, well, if we assume we go down to 34, yeah, if we go down and then we move up and we get stuck at 50, then over here, the W, X and Y scenario will come back in. Why? Because that could be A, B, and C. Okay, which means it will be definitely W, X, and Y, which means we can go below even the previous low. Now you might ask, why the 50, dude? Well, the 50 is what determines sentiment. So if we jump above it, well, obviously, it's not going to be a good case for bears. But if we don't, then most likely this is going to turn into W, X, and Y, and that's going to be a double zigzag. Okay. Now, these are the two the main is this, the alternative in the medium term, I would say, is the W, X, and Y, right? And then if we come and look at this structure as well, we still have to consider the potential of this being an ending diagonal, because that might be wave 1 here. We might get something like this here for wave 2. And then we might get wave 3, wave 4, and wave 5. And that's going to indeed be an ending diagonal in wave C, right? Or 4. And of course, a flat pattern, right? So that is very looking like an ABC. And that is the reason that I've been really insisting. But since we didn't get above that level with the overlap over here, well, we go with this, that we are moving lower down in the wave 5. Why? Because ending diagonals, if that was, guys, the first leg of the ending diagonal, they usually correct between 60 and 80%, I would say, right? 60 and 80. So my wave 2 here would have to really go higher. So that means that the ending diagonal is still in play, but we need to get higher and break above the 52K, which we haven't managed to do so far. Maybe we will, but in the short to medium term, okay, this is one thing to look. If we start moving higher and we break above that level, and then we start and we enter finally the territory of wave, well, it would be A and B actually, and C, that would be 1, then we'll have to really pay attention to 57, okay? Anywhere between 57 and 62 is where this wave could perhaps finish. Okay, that would be wave 2, and then we'll get 3, 4, and 5, and that would be the ending diagonal, right? Now, that means that, you know, we're not going to move higher, lower, sorry, and that means that this is not a wave 4. This is more of a like a. This might be the B, like a flat, okay, because you got A, B, and C. And that will be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So that is going to be an A, B, and a C. Okay. Now, if that's going to be a flat, it cannot be an ending diagonal, because corrections of ending diagonals are only zigzags. All right. So you can understand how complicated this can be, and we can go all over the same patterns again with small variations. The important thing to remember now is this: as long as we are below 52, this is bearish, okay? As long as we are above 45.63, we're bullish. This is a very big zone that once it breaks, it will give us definitely more directional clues, at least for the short to medium term, right? Now, I am personally expecting this to continue lower. I do expect a correction, perhaps up to the 50K, maybe even overnight. But until tomorrow, I do not expect prices to be above 48. Okay? So that's all on BTC. Now, let's look at engine. Now, engine, guys. Well, we've played around with this sort of structure for a while. And I will show you an alternative, but I will also show you these and tell you that I'm more likely, I'm actually supporting this as the main. Why? Because we have a duration of wave 2 and wave 4 likely to be the same. I know we do have a very unsynced wave A, but B, C, D, and E are actually cool, are good. And the truncation down in E is also accepted, right? So if this is 1, 2, 3, and 4, and you know, we expect the 5th wave to be up, it means that this is still the very same scenario that we were talking about. What changed is over here, because in the previous video I was looking at this as 1, right? Now I'm looking at this as 1, only this. It's just the size, the duration of wave 1, and actually this sort of which is the main now, makes a bit more sense. And I changed it because I see similarities with ADA as well. I will show you in a minute. Now, look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 1, 2, well, it's supposed to be a case where that's going to end up being like a leading diagonal in A, then B, and C, or something like this. It has to be a zigzag. Now, there is this, of course, is an ending diagonal, right? there is also the scenario that I talked about last time as well, that if this is 1, 2, 3, when I get like something like, if this is a 5, I'm gonna get ABC, and that we're gonna get another 5-wave move. That's gonna make this I would say here maybe to the median trend line of this channel. That's gonna make this an open diagonal, and then we're gonna get another ABC, and this is where we're gonna end. Okay, and then continue lower down in wave 4. But then, and this is something that is scary, but it will also depend, of course, on BTC. If BTC continues down, it did, then very likely that's going to be the case. I am split. I mean, this is a very, very close to the scenario I'm going to show you now. I mean, like, I'm talking about like very, very marginal difference. If my wave 4 is here, and this is something that can be considered as a 5-wave move as well, well, we might as well just finish up here. And this is our 5th wave, which means this is the 3rd wave, and we'll go down for wave 4. Okay, that means that we're going to get prices to around 113, which is a very big dip, and even lower, right? Depends. It all depends on what's going to happen with the cycle, right? We need to keep that in mind. Which means this is 1 and 2, this is 3 and 4, and this is 5. And this is now 1, 2, 3, well, could be 4 and 5. And we're going to get A, B, and C. And then from there we'll move up. Or it might be a case where this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll get A, then B, and then C. We'll go even lower. Okay. So all of this can still happen. So one is that ending diagonal in wave 4, or we're going to get wave 4 and then move up. So either contracting somewhat or expanding diagonal and then one leg up to finish, or we ended the upside and now we're going to get a correction, either an ABC that is going to get us to around 2, or an ABC that's going to get us to around 1 or something. Right now, of course, there are other scenarios as well. I was looking also at this as an alternative though, and I will tell you why. So it would be a case where this is a W, this is X, and this is A, B, C, D, E for Y. And my wave 4 is here, which means we've only started now, and this is our wave 1 in the ending diagonal, and this is our wave 2, or we're gonna get wave 2 lower. And you know, since we want this correction to be quite deep in the ending diagonal, it would be no surprise if this is my wave A, this is my wave B, and we're gonna get wave C down around 187, and then continue up to get the 3rd wave of the ending diagonal, then the 4th, and then the 5th. Okay, now if that is indeed the W, X, and Y and the triangle is here, then that might as well just be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And we're going to get 1, 2. And then instead of diagonal, we're going to get an impulse to the upside, which means we've got wave 2 to complete or validate that is done. Then the 3rd, then the 4th, and then the 5th. That is the most bullish scenario, guys. Okay. And we are definitely looking at, well, we're definitely looking like $7, $8 at least, I would say, right? And of course, you know, the case is that this is the alternative, and you might ask why. Well, it's because, guys, I do not like the truncation over here. It's not deep enough. Okay, it's actually, I wanted to say deep enough. So if this is like A, B, C, D, and E, you can understand that we're looking at a 50% correction. Okay, this is something that bothers me, and I see a lot of analysts sometimes having a tiny wave E like this. On what merits? Truncations by rule are like nearly 70%. Even the 62, when it's used, I don't like it. But in Forex markets, you can see it. In Forex markets, you even see flat patterns doing the 78 correction, not 90, okay, in Forex. So can we say it's a hybrid or something? That's the reason I just don't like this, because the wave in this particular triangle it's very truncated. The second, of course, thing is that, you know, the wave 4 would be a little bit more elongated, so it would last a bit longer. So I'm not sure I'm really keen, you know, in just labeling it like this. So I am happy with this, and I will just have to wait to see what's going to happen in this particular case. But I'll also give you something else. Since we are looking at the base channel now, right, and we have really received a rejection here at this channel, that looks more poised to do a downside rather than an upside. Okay. Either way, this is my main, and I would even more, just to be on the spot as well, I would just probably do this now to see an open diagonal, you know, because it just looks like if it's an ending diagonal, it's going to be more likely a case where we're going to go and bounce at the lower or the middle trend line over here, which, by the way, we have managed to stay above for a while, right? So let's just hope at least that this is not 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and we're not finished here, because if we're finished, that's going to go much lower, guys. Anything else to show here? Maybe what if we connected 2 and 4? Well, there you go. Look at this. And then 3. You see this again. This is a channel cluster. Connecting 2 and 4 and gets us to the same level. And that is what? 330. Let's move to ADA. Similarity here. Yes, look at this triangle. It's very similar, right? And the scenarios here as well are actually similar. It's just, well, that looks very corrective. Okay, that is the only reason that my main is different. The engine move to the downside looks impulsive. The ADA move to the downside, it looks corrective. So that is the reason. Either way, I'm still looking at this with a bearish eye rather than anything else, because we are still outside in the medium term. I mean, outside this channel, this base channel, which, you know, we've broken a few days ago, like a month ago actually, and we've actually moved impulsively to the downside since. But we've done an impulse to the upside that can be considered as wave 1, because usually wave 5 in cryptos is extended, right? That's the reality. You don't usually expect the 5th wave to just be something like above the 3rd and that's done. That's why also on my BTC count, you will see I have an expanded flat or a running flat variation rather than an impulse to the upside, unless if it would be, of course, the first wave and then we are in the second wave, which has been my alternative for a while. And I just realized I didn't even mention it. You see, it's losing this stream. Anyway, so we've got the 5th wave up here and a correction. That correction, it really is deep. We don't mind, it's fine, but I mean, how much deep is going to get? So to me, and we'll have to go with the markets, right? Because we do have the end of these, we have a leading diagonal, by the way, here, leading B and C with a triangle here, and extended 3. We are looking at this to be the wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4, and wave 5. This means this is an impulse, guys, to the upside, and it can be wave 1, which means we are reversing and we're going to start moving higher, or it's going to be a wave A. We're going to get a wave B as a correction, and then we're going to get a wave C, and then perhaps maybe we're going to move lower, which means this is going to be a W, X, and Y, but only for a fresh low that is not going to get us below 104, obviously. If we do go there, then that is changing. But only then we will know it has to change, because without getting there, that is still the main scenario. Okay, so can I just say there are 2 main scenarios? Okay, I will say there is 1 main scenario. And for now is this, that short term, the 62 held, we're short term bullish. Okay, so I'm looking at this as 1 and 2. What I would want to see as we move up, assuming we move up, I want to see volumes increasing, okay? And that's going to be the 3rd, the 4th, and the 5th. If we don't see volumes increasing, that means that is very likely to be an ABC, okay? Also, we're going to see at the duration not the duration, the extension of wave 3. If the extension of wave 3 is above 100%, then very likely to be a wave C, not a wave 3. Okay, so volumes and the range of wave C is what is going to tell me whether this is going to reverse to the upside, or we're just going to see an ABC and then continue lower down, which means, as I said, we're going to be W, X, and Y. But if we break below that low that we've just registered, 120, whatever that level was, then the chances are going to increase. Yes, over here as well, that this is a 5-wave move, and we finished up here. That's my wave 5. Yeah, and this is like a leading diagonal. This is a correction. This is a wave 3. This is a wave 4, right? So you can see that 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we're going to get a 5th wave down. That's going to be our A, then B, and then C. We're going to move much lower, right? Because we are outside the main base channel trend. It's very important. But it could also be that this is going to be, instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, it might be a case that, well, we've got the W, X, and Y, as I said before, so that'll be W, X, and Y. The Y might just take us just by the previous wave 4, okay, and then we can move higher. But if we do break below that level, then this is where things are going to get very, very bearish. Okay, so main, as long as we are holding that 120, very likely to be 3, 4, and 5. Even that case could be an ABC for a quite longer term upside though, and then we'll go down. Well, then we'll go down. That is still a 2, and then we'll go up. Or ABC, and then we'll go down, we'll break that, that becomes the 5th. And that is more likely 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, which means it can be A, B, and a C, or 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, or even much lower lows, but I don't think this is going to be the case. Okay. Now, anything else to mention here? Well, let me check 2 and 4. We don't need, no, well, my B, my A. We really have to get back within this channel. Otherwise, that remains bearish. We also prefer to third, well, no, that is a bit not a case. We would have preferred, not we also prefer, that we wouldn't have actually done an overlap here, but we are still holding. Okay, and as long as we are above 120, the chances of this moving higher are high. So that's going to be all for the day, for this week, for this month, for this year. I do really hope that you all make significant gains and reduce your losses, use stop losses. Risk management is everything in cryptos, okay? And in trading in general. If you find my videos helpful, you can show your appreciation by subscribing, liking, even contacting me to join my private group. I also have a broker partnership, which I keep on the low profile. You can check those in the caption details. With that said, I want to wish you all a happy new year, and I really do hope that next year is going to be healthier and much more profitable. So adios for now, and see you again next year.